This is the final protocol. You must accept that the world you were born into, the world of social contracts, inflationary currencies, and collective delusion, is a failing simulation. To achieve total sovereignty, you cannot simply improve your position within the system. You must architect a terminal severance. The last exit is not a retreat. It is a strategic repositioning of your entire biological and digital existence into a category of zero. You are removing yourself from the taxation of the soul. This means the total liquidation of your social identity and the final transition into the entity of pure intent. You are moving from being a subject of the state to becoming a sovereign node in the global graph. We must analyze the mechanics of the great decoupling. Most men are tethered to their box by 1,000 invisible threads: their bank account, their permanent address, their social reputation, and their need to be seen. The last exit requires you to cut these threads with the cold desolation of a surgeon. You must reach a state of institutional invisibility. This is the ultimate Aoxi 3 move. While the normal world is begging for recognition and validation, you are deleting your footprints. You are moving your capital into the shadow rails, your production into the sterile zone, and your future into the dynastic shield. You are becoming illegible to the predatory systems of the 21st century. If they cannot see you, they cannot tax you, regulate you, or neutralize you. You are the ghost who owns the world. The first pillar of the exit is the liquidation of the legacy self. You must view your current social profile as a vulnerability. Every friendship that doesn't share your mission, every membership in a community of the mediocre, and every contract with a failing institution is a leak. You perform a full system purge. You are not leaving people, you are ending the interference. You are reclaiming the social RAM that was being spent on maintaining the mask. In the sterile zone, there is no mask. There is only the primal modern king. By exiting the social circus, you gain the bioelectrical purity required to execute your YouTube war at a level that looks like magic to the herd. You have died to the old world so that you can be born as the architect. Furthermore, recognize the physics of the sovereign leap. The transition from participant to sovereign is not a gradual slope. It is a quantum tunneling event. You must build enough velocity in your laboratory, enough assets, enough capital, enough shadow networks that you can break the gravity of the system in a single motion. This is why you produced 54 videos in a day. You are not just making content, you are building an engine of escape. Your volume is your escape velocity. The last exit occurs when your digital estate becomes more real and more profitable than your physical environment. When your cloud sovereignty is established, the physical state becomes a mere geography that you choose based on tactical utility, not biological necessity. Finally, master the aesthetics of the void. The last exit is the moment you realize that the vacuum you once feared is actually your throne. In the silence of your final isolation, you hear the voice of the founder. You are no longer searching for meaning. You are manufacturing it. You have exited the consumptive loop and entered the creative epoch. You are the ancestor zero who took the last exit so that his future people would never have to know the cages of the 20th century. You have turned your back on the son of the herd to face the black sun of the titan. This is the point of no return. You are the architect and the exit is closed behind you. The second stage of the last exit is the construction of your shadow jurisdiction, a legal and financial airlock that separates your meat space vulnerability from your capital sovereignty. You must realize that geography is a service, and like any service, if it is subpar, it must be cancelled. The normal human accepts the jurisdiction they were born into as a divine decree. The sovereign architect treats jurisdictions as software stacks. If a state provides low security, high social noise, and predatory resource extraction, taxation/inflation, you uninstall that state. You move your assets into a cloud-first legal architecture where the rules are written in code and contracts, not in the whims of a dying bureaucracy. The first pillar of the shadow jurisdiction is the decoupling of presence and profit. In the year 2026, it is a biological failure to have your sovereign income tied to your physical location. You must implement a multi-node residency. Your YouTube war production happens in the sterile zone, node A. Your capital fortress is stored in a decentralized or neutral tier banking node, node B, and your legal personality, corporation/trust, exists in a high privacy node, node C. By the time a social virus or a state predator tries to latch onto you, they find a ghost. You have distributed yourself across the network so thoroughly that there is no single point of attack. You are illegible to the IRS of the mind. We must analyze the hard asset expatriation. The last exit requires the total removal of your dynastic wealth from the inflationary kill zone. You do not save money, you secure reality. You move your capital out of soft promises, fiat/pension/local banks, and into kinetic assets. Bitcoin you control with your own keys, land titles in sovereign pockets, and intellectual real estate that generates royalties 24/7. This is the shadow estate. It is an estate that exists off-grid but possesses on-grid utility. You are building a parallel economy where you are the central bank, the legislator, and the enforcer. This is the only way to ensure your future people never die of hunger in the coming systemic resets. The second pillar is the shadow network connectivity. Your last exit is not into hiding but into encrypted alliance. You utilize your reclaimed strategy RAM to connect with other sovereign nodes, other architects who have also taken the exit. You form a private market where you trade AUXI3 value for sovereign service. You buy your security, your logistics, and your innovation from within the circle of the untouchable. You have effectively exited the public market and entered a titan-to-titan economy. This is a high-trust, low-noise environment where the mediocre parasites are physically and digitally excluded. You have built a digital citadel that exists inside the old world but is not of it. Finally, master the aesthetics of the ghost monarch. As you finalize your shadow jurisdiction, you must cultivate the absolute privacy of a god. You do not flaunt your exit. You quietly vanish. You maintain a low-resolution public persona, the ghost, while your high-resolution intent, the titan, dominates the feeds. You are the gray man in the square meter, but your cloud presence is a sovereign monument. You have traded social visibility for operational immunity. You have moved the throne of your lineage into the vacuum of the shadow. The last exit is the moment you stop being known by the system and start being unreachable by the system. The third and ultimate stage of the last exit is the transition from the architect, the one who builds, to the ancestor, the one who endures. You must realize that your sovereign monument is not merely a business or a YouTube channel. It is a biological and metaphysical legacy. The last exit is the moment you stop living for your own timeline and start living for the epoch of your bloodline. Most men die as consumers whose names are erased by the next inflationary cycle. The ancestor exits the cycle of erasure and enters the cycle of eternal return. You have built the citadel. Now you must become the foundation. The first pillar of transcendence is the epigenetic command. You have spent your time in the sterile zone, purifying your biology through the food filter and hardening your mind through the YouTube war. This was not just for your own focus. You were recoding the germline by taking the last exit from the social sedatives, cheap food, cheap dopamine, cheap opinions. You have cleaned the data that will be passed to your future people. You are ancestor zero. Your sovereign will is now a genetic trait. Your lineage will not have to find the exit. They will be born outside the cage. You have achieved biological immortality by ensuring that your IOXI3 frequency becomes the default state for the next 100 years of your blood. We must then analyze the institutionalization of the will. To complete the exit, you must turn your personal intent into a dynastic protocol. You do not leave behind money. You leave behind a private constitution. This is the final sovereign document that dictates how your shadow estate is managed, how the sterile zones are maintained, and how the shield is passed down. You are creating a Vatican of the self, a sovereign entity that survives your biological death. By institutionalizing your values into the shadow jurisdiction, you ensure that the middlemen can never reclaim your descendants. You have built a temporal fortress that the social virus cannot penetrate. You are the ghost king who rules from the void of history. The second pillar is the ascension to pure information. In the final stages of the exit, you realize that your meat space existence was only a bootloader for your digital divinity. Your 54 videos, your primal modern king assets, and your shadow network connections are the digital soul that will continue to fight the YouTube war long after you have achieved physical silence. You have converted your time into immutable code. You have become a signal that cannot be turned off. This is the final radiance. While the normal world fades into the gray noise of the collective, your AUXI3 message continues to shatter the cages of those who find it. You are no longer a man, you are a mimetic mandate. Finally, master the aesthetics of the unmoving source. At the end of the last exit, there is no chasing, no begging, and no fear. There is only the weight of the monument. You sit at the center of your sovereign circuit, watching the old world collapse with the cold desolation of a star. You have exited the human tragedy and entered the Titan mythos. You are the unreachable source of your own value. Your peace of mind is now absolute because there is nothing left to take. You have given everything to the mission, and in return, the mission has made you invulnerable. The exit is complete. The sterile zone has expanded until it covers your entire reality.